Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Talking Games with Kellie and Andrew. I'm Andrew.
And I am Kellie.
We back.
We are back after a very long sabbatical. I apologize. The power grid at my apartment is not great, and I also have been sick, and no one set my alarmo. So I didn't know how to manage my time properly. So
Did you slept through all of the podcast recordings previously because your alarmo wasn't set up properly?
exactly. Exactly.
Okay. That's really disappointing to hear. I think I would have assumed that Mario would have helped you get up without issue.
Yeah. Well, he always helps me. Never mind. Did you guys miss us?
I missed you, Kellie.
Aw. I missed you, Andrew. So much has changed in our lives. Like, for example...
So much has changed.
For example, for me, I'm not being sued by Nintendo.
Oh, I am.
Oh.
But I'm not allowed to talk about that yet. So instead, I'll talk about Pocket Pair, who you might know as the developer of Pow World, absolute breakout hit of earlier this year. Everybody at the time was like, oh, Nintendo, Pokemon, they're going to come after them for reportedly stealing stuff. But Pokemon just came forward way earlier this year and was like, yeah, we're always keeping an eye out. But then, it's been months. It's been 8 months since that game came out. We all kind of assumed, probably nothing happening. Well, Pocket Pair is being sued by Nintendo and Pokemon. We do not know the details yet of what they are suing for, but we do know that it is coming down the pipeline. I don't think we'll know very soon what the situation is because the legal system is slow. But this is not probably what Pocket Pair wanted to hear in this is probably not the October surprise they wanted.
Wow. That was political, the way you said October surprise.
I forgot that was a political phrase.
No, it's okay. You're prepping the listeners for our upcoming election special episode.
I don't. It's quite a thing to promise.
I mean, I
like that we've been waiting. You've been waiting for Dragon Age for like a decade, and the episode where you're going to talk about it, you're like, actually, the election instead of Dragon Age.
I'm actually. This particular piece of news is not very shocking. Nintendo's quite litigious.
Yeah, but I'm a little worried. It could go a few ways. I feel like if the lawsuit finds that like they actually did steal stuff, like if they find asset ripping happened of any kind, then yeah, Pocket Pairs, they're going down. And I don't feel bad because if you steal stuff and then you get punished for stealing stuff, that stinks. But you stole stuff. But if they get sued for like taking gameplay ideas and they lose, if Nintendo wins, I think that's bad. Because I don't think that you should be able to sue for that. Even if it is like very blatant, I do think that being able to, rip off gameplay ideas is fine. It's a little icky, but that's how people, that's how video games kind of learn and grow, is stealing from each other in respectful ways. And even if this wasn't the most respectful way, them losing, I think, would make it so that people were less willing to steal in a respectful way. Does that make any sense?
Sure. Yeah. I feel like they maybe wouldn't pursue if they didn't have something really... To me, I think it's not going to be a specific mechanic. I think it's going to be a specific design thing. I don't think they would sue for mechanic. I think they would sue for design aspect. So that's my thoughts behind this. I mean, they could just settle the whole thing and Pocket Pair will have to like change something about Pal World, but I'm not really sure. I will say it does not, like I said, it doesn't really shock me because I do think that there were some elements of Pal World that were very egregious in terms of this looks just like Pokemon. But I don't know. I guess this is one of those things that, like you said, we probably won't even know about for a long time.
The fact that it took this long makes me think Nintendo has some really intense ammunition ready to fire.
Yeah, I don't particularly think that they would pursue anything if they didn't think that they could win. Like, I don't think that they would, I think that they typically, I mean, lawsuits are expensive, they're time consuming, they're not always great press, so I would not be shocked if they had something that is like pretty concrete to pin onto Pocket Pair. I almost call it Pair World. Hello?
I think the fact that a lot of people are like, oh, Nintendo loves to sue people. And it's like, well, they do love to like give cease and desist to like indies and like ROM hacks and stuff. But cease and desist don't cost money. You
Right.
just pay your lawyer to, draft that up and send it. This
Right.
is way different. This is a huge game.
Yeah, and I think there's just a general lack of understanding of what suing someone versus what a cease and desist is among the general population, especially among the general population of gamers. No offense.
I'm offended.
Sorry, gamers.
I have no idea what suing is.
Suing is when you stitch two items of clothing together.
Also, the idea of stitching two items of clothing together is a really dumb thing to do. I like both these shirts. What if they became one shirt?
They could just be one big shirt, double shirt, and then you could wear either shirt, and the other one could just sort of flap there uselessly. But
Flappy Bird?
it's too soon.
Sorry, we're not getting paid by Flappy Bird anymore, so I shouldn't bring that up.
I'm surprised we didn't get a cease and desist from the creators of Flappy Bird for how much we mentioned it in the last episode.
Free marketing.
Exactly. Speaking of Pal World, Crafton Mac and Cheese? No, Crafton, which is a developer. They're creating
PUBG.
Sorry? What'd you say?
They made PUBG.
They did?
Yeah, remember? Because they're the one that bought Tango.
Oh, that's right. Tango, who made Hi-Fi Rush. Spoiler alert. We're going to be talking about Hi-Fi Rush. Anyway, sorry. Back to the Pal World thing. Crafton is making a mobile version of Pal World. So you can play Pal World on your phone, if you so desire, or on your PlayStation, because it's also on PlayStation now. Wow. You played this,
Crafton?
right? Did you play Pal World?
A ton, yeah. For
Okay.
like 4 days. Like a lot. Like 5 hours a day for 4 days, and then I quit.
Yeah.
I think the thing for me is like a Pal World mobile port is not surprising, but who's Crafton? I know who Crafton is now, but like I feel like aside from PUBG was the only thing they did, and now I feel like they're trying to break in way more substantially with this and with their acquisition of Tango. I feel like they're probably really trying to start to get into games more substantially, because PUBG is just a cash cow, they just make money off that. They don't have to think about it. So it is kind of cool to see them funding things that are more interesting, especially because the next story, they stated that Hi-Fi Rush 2, which we already know about, will make them no money. They are aware of this. And that sounds like a bad thing, but to me, the fact that they put that money in to buy something knowing it's not profitable, it shows that they have a lot of foresight to me. They're trying to establish this brand. If I had to guess, they're probably like, yeah, we'll make the brand even bigger and then make money off merch.
Yeah.
Use the brand, use the IP to make money in other ways, or maybe make Hi-Fi Rush 3 big enough that we can make money off that. I think Crafton could be onto something here. Hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah.
This one, we're not going to know for years because, well, that mobile version of Power World might be a little sooner than years. I think also it might be, there's a slight chance they pump the brakes so they can see what the lawsuit looks like. But
Yeah.
Hi-Fi Rush 2, obviously, where it's not going to be soon that we see that by any stretch.
Right. One thing that we absolutely will not be seeing is The Sims 5, because the team over at EA announced that there is no longer going to be a Sims 5. Sims 5, I'm a big Sims player, for those who don't know. I've always played when my life is spiraling, so I played a lot. I'm joking. I do play when I'm spiraling, and I have played it a lot, so I guess I'm not joking at all. But anyway, they pretty much... So The Sims 5 kind of existed as this Project Renee thing that had been sort of leaked and talked about and whispered about among Sim fans and Sim players. But yeah, EA, the Sims team, pretty much announced that they're not making Sims 5 anymore. They're just sort of glomming onto the Sims 4, which is interesting because the Sims 4 came out in 2014, 10 years ago. And it just has a bunch of different expansions and free updates. It sort of exists as like it's a live service thing, basically. It's a living thing, you know.
A living service.
A living service. It's interesting because, like, if you look at the lifespan of these games, like Sims 1 to Sims 2 was not that long. I mean, Sims 1 was like, I don't even know, 99? I can't remember, 2000 maybe? And, you know, Sims 2, I think, came out in like 2004 maybe. And then Sims 3 was 2010. And now the shortest gap seems to be between 3 and 4. But anyway, they are also looking to get into a multiplayer situation for Sims 4, which they kind of, maybe infrastructure isn't the right word, but they have done Sims Online in the past, so it's not radically new, but it would be new for the Sims 4, or the future unannounced Sims Online title. So no more Sims 5, which, like, honestly, I don't know. What would be the point? What would be the point? I think people who don't like Sims 4 and the way it's designed, Sims players who don't like that, are still able to go back and play Sims 3. It's a little harder to play 2 and 1 now because they're so old, but I don't know. This was interesting news to me because it's kind of like, I don't like when people would talk about The Sims 5, I would not feel excited because it's just a new game with new expansion packs, new mods, new content. Like it just seemed like too much to me.
Like starting from zero again.
Right. Which is kind of why I personally am like fine. Like I think Sims 4 is fine. And I like the design of the Sims in Sims 4. There's a lot that needs to be fixed in that game, I will say. But it's not like, you know, it's not bad enough that I'm like, I wanted a Sims 5 because 10 years is a long time. They've released so many expansion packs, and then they would have to re-release them with The Sims 5. I don't know. I'm fine with it being the way it is.
I think that's the thing. The only thing that confuses me is like there's still people that prefer 3, right?
Right.
Over 4?
Correct.
So I guess I'm surprised. I mean, it's not like people are like sitting down and accepting this. There's people that are angry about this.
Yeah.
But do you really think that if you like Sims 3 more than Sims 4, that Sims 5 would fix that?
Right.
Like, it's EA making it. It'll probably be worse.
Yeah. Most of the problems that you have with 4 would absolutely be carried into 5. For sure. They'd probably be worse.
I have a question.
Yes.
What's an expansion pack and what's a game pack?
Okay. So there's a few different things. So an expansion pack is like $30. It's basically a new map, new clothes, new world, new, like, it's called build and buy, which is basically like new furniture, new wallpaper, new et cetera, new Sims. So that's an expansion pack. There's also typically some element of gameplay that they incorporate, like seasons, incorporated seasons. I'm trying to think of other expansion packs. Get to Work incorporated new jobs.
I mean, I'm looking at all of them right now.
Cats and dogs. Yeah, was like pets. So expansion packs are big. They're supposed to be meteor. Sorry. Game packs are a little bit are I think are like $15, and they're basically just, they sometimes come with a world, but it's a little bit smaller scale. Less clothes, less hair, that sort of thing. But still introducing like new things to the game. And then there's like one more pack that used to be called, what were they called? Something packs. They were small. They were like $5. And they introduced like one thing, like maybe it was like a furniture pack or whatever. They changed those to kits, which are even smaller.
Microtransactions.
Basically, you're paying for like, okay, so here's a kit that came out a few months ago. It was like goth clothing kit. You paid $5 and you would get, a certain amount of clothing for your Sims, and it was all goth, that sort of thing. So,
did you say the expansion packs were $30?
I think they used to be 30. They might be 40.
So they're at least, if you paid full price for them, $480 for all 16?
Listen.
I assume there's like packs in now to make it a discount, right?
Yes.
Still.
I have most, if not all of the packs.
But it took 10 years to buy them, I guess, right?
Yes. And EA and the Sims team, they typically give players the option to bundle packs with game packs and kits. So instead of spending 30 plus 15 plus 5, you're spending like 40 for 3 different things, which isn't great, but they are pretty loosey-goosey with sales. Now, I will say this is also extremely absurd to ask your players to spend this much money on one game over 10 years. But
I don't know if they increased them in time, but they're all $40.
Yes, I believe when the game came out, they were 30, like back in 2014.
Right, but I'm even seeing like the early ones are 40 now.
Yes.
So it looks like they just raised the prices.
Yes, but they're definitely 40 now.
Is the base game free?
Yes. The base game
That's
is
crazy.
free.
That's crazy. I'm glad Sims 5 isn't coming because this would probably get even more toxic, but that's crazy.
Yes. And
oh my gosh.
It's sad because Sims 3 had expansion packs as well. And they had like similar expansion packs. Like they had a Seasons expansion pack. It had more stuff. They had a Pets expansion pack. It had more stuff. Let me give you an example. In The Sims 3, the Pets expansion pack had cats, dogs, and horses. In The Sims 4, there was a cats and dogs expansion pack and then a ranch living expansion pack. So you get the cats and dogs. Back in like 2016, I think is when that one came out. 2020 or 2021, 2022, I can't remember, was when the horse one came out. So you had to pay two different times for something that you only had to pay once for before. Same with like Generations. That was a really popular Sims 3 pack because it added more interactions between like grandparents, parents, kids, etc., grandkids. Now, in The Sims 4, you have to pay for Parenthood, which is a game pack, so it's not as expensive as an expansion pack, but you still have to pay for it. Parenthood, high school years, and there was a third one that came out. I can't remember what it's called. But anyway, the point is that they are like take stuff that used to be all in one and they put it in a bunch of different ones and they make you buy it.
That's insane.
It's very predatory. It's very nasty. And Sims players have been very vocal about their disdain for this practice for a long time, for 10 years now. So unfortunately, it doesn't seem to be getting better. And like you said, like with Sims 5, it would absolutely only get worse. So not good.
I mean, I don't think it's good or bad news. I think it's just Sims is a live service game that is a cash cow for EA. There's no world where it gets better.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, Kelly, we were off for like almost a month here, or several weeks. And I assumed in that time Nintendo would go ahead and make the official announcement of the Nintendo Switch 2. That's what I figured would happen. That didn't happen, but we've seen it now. Not in official capacity, but some production models essentially hit the scene, so we got to see them. This is obviously reported, so there's a chance it's not true, but pictures are out there of Switch 2 3D models and some factory models, so not just a 3D model somebody made, but also some seemingly tested versions. The biggest thing is that this matches basically all of the little things we've heard, like how the Switch 2 Joy-Cons will not be on a track. They won't slide up and down the same way, but instead be magnetic. I think that's way more practical. The only downside being you can't have the Switch logo used to do like the, like it snapped into place.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a thing anymore. So they will have to figure out something new, but they probably have of course they will. They have a whole marketing thing planned, I'm sure. We also saw the what you call specs, and functionally it seems like it'll essentially be like, if you're playing in handheld, it's kind of like a PlayStation 4, and if you're playing on a dock, it's kind of like a PlayStation 4 Pro, which to me sounds perfect. Obviously, it's not going to be on par with the PS5. It's a portable console. And the other thing is, like, nothing's coming out exclusively for PS5 anyway. Nothing is this generation exclusive anyway. So if they're matched with a PS4 Pro, they're probably going to be able to start getting day one games pretty easily. It wasn't exciting to see it, which is funny. It's a Switch. It looks like a Switch, right?
It does. It does. I think what I'm most curious about is what they're going to call it.
They got it. Please just call it Switch 2. Please, Nintendo.
Do you think that would be confusing, though, for like your average consumer who thinks that it might just be like an advanced version of a Switch?
Well, if you call it Switch 2, I think it should be fine. I think if they call it Super Switch, that's where you're playing messy games.
Yeah. I guess I feel like there was...
Xbox does that. They do weird names, and people don't know what it is.
Yes. And I feel like Nintendo has been down a path before where they had the Wii and then the Wii U, which was a little bit confusing, I think, for average consumers.
I think if they called it Wii 2, it would have been... it still would have been the Wii U. Wii U had bigger problems than the name. But the name didn't help. I think literally just calling it... Because if you call it Nintendo Switch 2, no one's going to be like, what is it? They'll be like, oh, it's the next Switch.
Yeah.
And I also think the thing about Switch versus Wii, I think people need to consider this. Look at like the attach rate of software for Wii. The average Wii owner had like 1 to 2 games. The average Switch owner has multiple games. I don't know the number, but it's way higher than 1 to 2. People who own Switches play games. They're kind of tapped in. So the Wii to Wii U transition wasn't just name. It was that people who bought a Wii had fun Wii bowling. They bought it for grandma. They bought it for the nursing home. They bought it for the family just to play Wii bowling, and that's it. Those people were never going to buy another console. It didn't matter what they called it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
They needed to tap into a different market, which they failed with the Wii U, but now they've succeeded with the Switch. I think Switch owners are going to be way more inclined to get a Switch 2 now. And it's still going to be that same slow... Well, I shouldn't call the Switch slow. The Switch was always fast moving, but it's going to be that same incline, I think. It's probably not going to sell as well as Switch 1. Switch 1 is on track to maybe be the best-selling console ever. I don't know how they top that. But I think because they have it's like a way more avid fan base now. Like, people are really committed to the Switch in a way that Nintendo hasn't had since maybe ever. I think they'll have a much easier time transitioning. But I still think that the naming is important. It's less important than Wii to Wii U. It is less important because the Wii was never going to... They were not going to be able to capture that again. But the Switch, I think they could.
Yeah, I guess my thoughts are that Nintendo has never been like particularly... It seems like they've never particularly cared that much about the naming conventions of their consoles. Like, if I think back to like, okay, Nintendo 64 was kind of boring, but whatever. It was the 64. It was an iconic console. And then you've got like the GameCube, the Wii. The GameCube was like revolutionary because it was a cube. So you just call it a GameCube. And then you've got like the Wii and the Wii U. But like, I'm thinking about like, okay, you had Game Boy. You had Game Boy Advance. You had like Game Boy SP. You know, it was kind of like I said, it just doesn't, I don't think that they care that much about naming conventions. Like the Nintendo DS, the 3DS, the 2DS. It was like, they're all functionally DSs. So maybe that's the new thing. It's like, it's all functionally a Switch. Like you can do it handheld or you can do it port. That's why it's called a Switch, or docked. That's why it's called a Switch. So if it's called Switch 2, then so be it, you know. I think my thing is like I think them having consistency across these consoles is like, it's not the most exciting thing. Like, you don't look at it and you're like, oh my God, it's brand new. But it's like, if it performs well and if we get new good games on it, that's really all that matters.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
I mean,
I guess
I'm almost glad we saw the leak because it's like, it almost makes me be like, yep, it's just, I don't care about the console. I'm excited for it, but it has nothing to do with the console anymore.
you're right.
You know,
It's
the
about
novelty is
games.
gone. The
Yeah.
novelty of the Switch was crazy. Never going to be recaptured, ever.
Yes.
And now I just want to know what the new Mario looks like.
Yes, I agree. I'd like to see them announce this soon so that we can actually start to see the new games that they're making for it. My only complaint about the Switch is the Joy-Cons, I think, are not great controllers by any stretch of the imagination. And I wish that maybe they would have moved away from that particular style if this is what it's going to end up being. But there's only so much that you can do with the design of the Switch, I guess. Or the Switch 2 in this case.
Yeah, because I think the only alternative would make it look like a PlayStation Portal where it's like a Pro controller split in half. But that would get rid of the form factor of the Switch, I think.
Yeah. I just don't like the way Joy-Cons feel. Joy-Cons. I don't like the way they feel in my hand. I just don't like the way they feel, and I think that they're not great. They're not very well made. Like,
no, and maybe these ones will be better. The whole magnet thing is a huge plus because the tracks wear down over time, and if you just make it magnets, then magnets don't get weak, you know?
Yeah.
So that's not something
How do
we
they
have to worry
work,
about.
man? Magnets. How do they work?
I'm nervous about the Switch 2 reveal because of our purposes. Like, I'm like, Nintendo, I need you to announce at a time that makes sense for our release schedule.
I bet it'll be like Christmas time they'll announce it.
Yeah, but we take our big Christmas break.
Yeah, but we could do an emergency intercom.
All I'll say is that every analyst, everyone, and I don't trust them, but I still listen to them sometimes, said early October. And that is done. And Nintendo totally announced the Switch 2 in that time.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you just can't trust those people.
Yeah, well.
Maybe they need to set their alarmos to a better time than early October. Oh.
Maybe they were right. Maybe they just didn't read the press release right.
Maybe they thought Alarmo was the new name for the Switch 2. Speaking of new Nintendo hardware, they're releasing an alarm clock, a sound clock called Alarmo.
Did you get one?
No, they're like $80.
They're $100.
What?
$99.99.
That is absurd. That is absurd.
Do you not want Mario to watch you sleep, Kelly?
I feel like alarm clocks are so... Everybody uses their alarm on their phone. It shocks and awes me whenever I see alarm clocks. But Nintendo said, you know what? We don't really care about what's popular, what makes sense. We're going to release this $100 alarm clock, and you are going to buy it, nerds.
But, Kelly, it watches you sleep.
I don't like that.
Also, you can't get it. You're forbidden.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Did this come out on the 9th of October, or is it coming out the 10th? Oh, no.
It came out the day they announced it.
Yeah, the 9th. So why does it say pre-purchase still?
Because if it came out on the 9th, but like you had to go to the Nintendo store and buy it, but otherwise you have to go to the Nintendo online website, website and buy it.
My link.
It's coming it's coming to actual retailers next year, like Target and stuff.
Right.
It watches you sleep, Kelly. You're not allowed to get it though because you have a husband.
Why would that make
you can
me
only
not
have
allowed
one
to
person in the bed.
What is this? Why? What are they doing? What is this?
Single people only.
What is the purpose of this piece of equipment?
I think there probably is a version of this that makes sense medically because it like watches you sleep and like tracks your sleep quality and stuff.
But you can do that with anything. You can do that with an app on your phone. You can track the quality of your sleep.
Right. And I'm sure this one works better, but also there's probably like medical grade ones that cost less than $100 that just don't have Mario
you can buy a Hatch alarm for like $60 and it does more.
Yeah, but Kelly, when you wake up with this one and you start moving around, there's like Mario sounds. It's like ba-ding, ba-ding, which also it makes sounds as you move. And I'm like, that would motivate me to lay as still as possible in
Listen,
bed.
Andrew,
I'm
If
listening.
you want to spend $100 on an
Oh,
alarm
I'm
clock,
not. I'm not.
that's your prerogative.
I will not.
I personally think that this is absurd,
It is.
but it made me laugh and it made me happy. So
I think it's hysterical, and I'm glad they made it. And also, I think it's so they have to know what they're doing because everybody's sitting tuned into the Nintendo YouTube channel every morning. Like, it's going to happen. They're going to announce Switch 2, and they're like, here's an alarm clock. Here's an alarm clock, and shut up. And now you get to the Ring Fit Adventure guy is going to be like, wow, every time you wake up and be like, good job.
I saw you brought up the Wii Ring Fit, and I'm sorry, the Switch Ring Fit. And I just have to mention this because I saw this during our break. But it was like they would send. Did you ever play with the Ring Fit?
Yeah, I probably played it for like 2 weeks before I quit.
There's a system in it that detects your heartbeat, and if it detects that you're having some sort of cardiac episode, it will like stop. A little pop-up will go on the screen, and there's like this crazy like Silent Hill ambient sound that's like stop playing. It gets like so serious, so fast, so scary. Imagine you're on the floor, your heart is exploding, you're having a heart attack, and you hear this music coming through your speakers. You'd think that you were descending into hell. It's so scary. If you guys get the opportunity, you need to look up the Ring Fit cardiac event clip or whatever. It was very popular on Twitter like a month ago. You have to watch it, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about, how horrifying that would be.
It's funny because the only way to get that data is to like put the IR reader to like your finger.
Right.
Meaning somebody is literally having the heart attack and they're like, this feels funny. I want to see what my Switch thinks.
Right.
And like during a heart attack, going and placing the scanner on your finger and being like, what? I'm having a heart attack?
I know.
I'll look that up.
It's haunting.
Kelly, remember a while ago we talked about how Yakuza was going to announce a new game and it was going to be not what we expected?
Yes.
They were right. Coming out next year is brand new release Like a Dragon, Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. That's the title. That's coming out February 28th. You play as Majima, the eye-patched, lovable main sort of antagonist of the Yakuza series. He's in Hawaii, and he's a pirate now.
Very straightforward.
This is exactly what I expected. They pump these things out fast.
Yeah,
the new Yakuza came out this year. It came out in January, right?
I have no idea how they make these games and how they do it quickly like that.
Right,
I don't really understand how that works.
The Man Who Erased His Name was November of last year, and then right after was Infinite Wealth in January of this year, and that game was phenomenal. And now they have another one coming out in February, and I know it's like a funny little spin-off, but like they said it's on par with The Man Who Erased His Name, which was like a not insubstantial game. I think it took me like 12 hours to beat, which is obviously shorter than a 90-hour RPG, but like that's still a real game, and it's like $60 instead of 70. So they're like, yeah, it's not quite, but still, they make games so fast, and they're good. I think that's what's upsetting. They're good.
Yeah,
How
I don't
do they
know.
do that?
This might be the Assassin's Creed Black Flag sequel that we are all dying for. This is the Skull and Bones. Jinx.
This is the Skull
What's
and
the other
Bones
pirate game?
Kingdom Hearts 3.
No. It's the online
Sea of
one.
Thieves.
Sea of Thieves, yeah. It's like Sea of Thieves. Man, talking about all these pirate games, it's like, I wish we had a really good pirate game.
Hey,
like
we
a really
might.
good pirate role-playing game.
Hey, we might on February 28th. Well, not role-playing game.
I think it'd be cool. Here's my pitch. Any studios, feel free to take this and run with it. I'm talking like a D&D style, like work with Wizards of the Coast, even though, it's not great right now, but, I'm talking like Baldur's Gate level collaboration, a D&D campaign on a pirate ship, pirate adventures with using the D&D class structure. Anybody feel free to use that idea, but please pay me for it. That's all I have to say about that. Imagine how fun that would be if you get to make your own pirate and do pirate activities and kiss other pirates and swashbuckle and eat lemons so you don't get scurvy. And
swashbuckling, what happens after you kiss?
Whoa. You better take that to the poop deck.
They'll be buckling them swashes. If you know what I mean.
Listen.
I'm listening.
I think it's time for the next news story.
Okay.
Do you like that transition? We get a lot of letters of complaint.
Letters?
To the Talking Games office.
We have an office?
Yeah, we've gotten a lot of letters lately that have been saying, Kellie and Andrew, are you guys AI? Are you artificial intelligence?
Oh, yeah.
And we have to come clean and say right now, no, we are not. Because we are going in the same direction as Nintendo, who's going in a different direction.
This is such a good...
than AI.
Good story.
Miyamoto had an interview with the New York Times where he was basically like, AI is a big deal right now. But when everybody uses AI, everybody kind of starts doing the same thing. So we're not going to do that, which I think was very succinct. I think it's very accurate. And I'm glad he said that. And I'm glad somebody big like him is saying that because it is so, so true. There's no intellectual property. There's no intellectual emphasis on that word, property, in AI. It is all shared across stolen work that has already been done. You can't make something new out of it. It is all taken from something else.
I was just going to make a bad joke, but you said that Miyamoto, you said you were glad you heard it from somebody as big as Miyamoto.
Uh-huh.
And I was going to be like, Miyamoto's 5'5". Sorry.
Honestly, he's a short king.
He's a short king.
Wow, he's really he's shorter than me.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be crazy to meet Miyamoto and look down upon him and be like, whoa.
No, that's wild. Yeah, it's great that he said this. I feel like I said, you're not creating anything new when you use AI. But I also think there's like a vast, I don't know. It's hard.
It's bad. AI's bad.
It's bad. I think that it's one of those things that like people don't quite understand the extent to which it could ruin something. We were talking about Pal World at the beginning of the episode. Not accusing them of using it or anything. I'm just saying like when you use AI when you try to use it creatively to create, it's not real. You're stealing from something else. You could have something that looks like some of the Pal World, but even worse. No offense. I'm sure some of those are designed by real people who were, eating Pokemon's cookies a little bit, but...
Oh. I think the thing, like, there's some world where maybe it could work if they kept it, like, internal. Like, the AI only educated itself using Nintendo designs and stuff. But Nintendo prides itself on, like, really creative thinking and constantly pushing things forward, and you can't push things forward if you use AI. Inherently, AI is using things of the past. It's using ideas from the past. You can't come up with new ideas with AI. It's impossible. And
it's legally very risky.
Yes.
You're just pulling content from, like you said, things in the past. Things that could potentially be guarded very well by IP law. So
legally and morally dubious.
Exactly. It shocks me when, like, never mind. We'll talk about it off air. It's about personal stuff, but
okay.
It's just nasty.
You know what else is morally dubious?
What?
Netflix taking away my subscription, which they haven't done yet, but I'm scared every day that I'm going to turn on Netflix and it's going to be like, no.
Oh. Well, don't say anything because they're going to listen to this episode and then they're going to take it away.
I forgot that Netflix is a sponsor. I get that Netflix is a sponsor and I don't have an account.
That would be wild.
No, we got a little bit of Netflix news, though. Netflix is one of the biggest proponents of video game to television adaptations. You have not watched the Tomb Raider television series yet, have you? Are you going to?
Tomb Raider?
Yeah.
I might.
I've heard good things. I have not watched it. I saw one joke where she was like, I need to find answers. I need to go to the worst place on Earth. And then it just cuts to a shot of Paris. I thought that was funny. But they announced a couple new things, that being a new cyberpunk anime. We don't know anything else. We just know that they're making another one. This will not be Edge Runners Season 2 for reasons. That is a very open and shut story, and there wouldn't be a real way to make that into a second season. So this will be something entirely new. I'm assuming Studio Trigger will still be involved. It'll probably still be something that everybody loves, and hopefully we'll know about it in the near future. But if you can't wait, you can still have something great, because the Devil May Cry animated TV show that we've known about for 23 billion years, I think. Finally, we got a proper trailer and an April release date. This is exciting for me because we got that new Castlevania season coming out in January, just 2 months from now. 3 months, 2 months. I guess that's 3 months. And then shortly after we get this Devil May Cry series, I think this is gonna. I'm very, very optimistic about it. I'm very excited about it. It's Adi Shankar who made he started the Castlevania show, and then he made that Blood Dragon show for Ubisoft. He's prolific in the video game adaptation market, and he usually does a very good job. So I'm excited to see this one, and I think it looks really nice. And Dante seems like a really cool young version of himself. So I'm excited to see what story they want to tell here.
Yes. Very exciting. Very, very exciting. Will you be watching it on Valentine's Day?
That'd be really impressive since it comes out in April. If I was watching it in February.
Oh, you're right. It says it right there. Sorry, I was trying to transition to the next news story, and it kind of didn't work. I shot my shot.
And missed.
Just like Ubisoft missed the original release date for Assassin's Creed Shadows. It has been. Did you like that?
That was so mean.
Sorry,
that was so harsh. No, they deserve it.
Yeah. Anyway, it's been delayed to February 14th, 2025. So Valentine's Day, you can play Assassin's Creed with your significant other. You can hand off the control. You can say, here you go, you play this part and I'll play this part, because there's two different characters in Assassin's Creed Shadows.
Wow. And you can be kind of hetero about it, because there's a boy and a girl.
Yeah. Can I just say something?
Mm-hmm.
The headline to this is so much for what it is to the story that you linked. Assassin's Creed Shadows delay just got worse. It's like, all right, let's just take a deep breath, okay? Everything's fine. It's only a few months, all right?
Do you want to know why that's the case?
Why?
Because this happened a few weeks ago, and I forgot to link the story, but I knew it happened. So I just Googled Assassin's Creed delay, and Google is like bad at showing just like the most pertinent article. They try to show like stuff that just happened.
Yes.
And comicbook.com was the most recent, and they have some headlines, shall we say.
Listen, It's fine. Everybody hates Ubisoft, whatever. I think it's fine to hate Ubisoft because it's run by French people. No, I'm just joking.
So you're really
joke.
Like that joke from Lara
I guess my only the only thing that makes me not feel great about this is, of course, it's just an excuse for the grifters to be like, see, it's going to be a bad game. And it's like, they don't need more ammunition. They don't. Because they take the most random, inane BS and they just run with it. And then now everybody's saying the same thing. Oh, it's going to be bad. It's like, who cares? Oh, my God.
This is part of the reason I hate American election cycles, because I feel like the anti-DEI conversation really kicked into full gear due to the, shall we say, current American presidential election.
Sure, yeah.
And I think the volume of it has increased drastically, as we'll talk about later on the show, which is frustrating that we have to talk about it later in the show. But
yeah, I mean, it's certainly being spearheaded by one particular individual. Well, like two individuals, I'll say, but one who owns an entire social media website platform and uses it to boost probably some of the worst, most racist, most vile garbage ever. Pushes that onto anyone's timeline now. Even if you block all those people, you still get it. So really great stuff all around.
Well, let's keep the positivity train rolling. Ubisoft. We got a lot of Ubisoft information this week. Ubisoft has admitted that Star Wars Outlaws, their new major AAA, maybe quadruple A. I guess I didn't hear them say that, but I hope they didn't. That game underperformed. There are reports that it sold around 1 million copies, which you might be like, 1 million? That's pretty good. That's really bad for a game of this scope. This game cost a lot of money. I don't even want to know how much money it cost just to get that Star Wars license. You know, that must have cost them, oh my goodness, like an arm and a lightsaber. A lot.
Oh, nice tie-in. Nice tie-in there.
It's not looking good, and it's not surprising. I haven't heard like much positive. It seems like it wasn't extremely negative, but when this game came out, there was a lot of just like quiet. Not a lot of people talking about it. There wasn't a lot to talk about. Not a good sign. Not a good sign for Ubisoft. Not a good sign for the Star Wars license. Not a good sign for much at all.
Yeah, it is unfortunate because this is another one of those games that was definitely targeted by grifters. So it's like, it doesn't feel good when they don't perform well. But if the game is not good, the game is not. If it's not worth the, tons and tons of money that you're asking players to spend on it with all the extra stuff, then it's not worth it. No. I don't know. Just it's unfortunate, but I don't know. I don't know.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. So this this next story's I can't read it because I'm not subscribed to Bloomberg.
Oh.
To Bloomberg.
Well, the headline covers it all at least.
Yeah, sure. Right. So Tencent is looking to buy Ubisoft. That's just Ubisoft. Nothing small, no offshoots of main Ubisoft. They're just looking to buy Ubisoft. So
I'm curious because apparently it's like a split between Tencent and the Guillemot family. I didn't realize the Guillemot family was this like super rich family. I did not know that.
I mean, with a name like Guillemot, you have to be.
And Yves Guillemot.
Ah oui,
Who do you think Yves Guillemot? Do you think Yves Guillemot's dad gave him a loan of $1 million to start Ubisoft? That's not how it works.
A small loan of $1 million.
Mm-hmm. This could be okay. Okay, I'm going to be optimistic here. Because there's two angles to take here. Optimistic and pessimistic. And I think pessimistic is more likely, but I'm going to start with the optimistic. If they're private, they don't have to cater to shareholders, so they can just focus on making quality products and not worry about making the most money in the world. However, the pessimistic and I would say realistic angle is that if the owners are Tencent and the Guillemot family, I don't think that they're going to be super focused on positive creative development.
Yeah. I'm kind of I'm of the same thought. This doesn't really, I mean, that was kind of my initial reaction, but I feel like there's just, Ubisoft is kind of in a weird spot right now. I feel like they have really a lot of negative press, a lot of bad faith.
Yeah.
Not bad faith, but, I think there's just a lot of not great feelings surrounding Ubisoft right now. And I think it is justified in a lot of cases, like, the Outlaws situation. Like, why are you asking me to spend all this money on a single player game?
Mm-hmm.
But,
Skull and Bones was this year.
Wait. Skull and Bones came out?
Yeah, are you serious?
Am I being gaslit right now?
No, it came out in February. The game's been out for 6 months.
I thought it came out in April. Oh yeah, February 16th, 2024.
Yeah.
20% liked this video game. 27% liked this video game. Well, I guess that tells you everything that you need to know.
It's also on sale for like $5 all the time. That game launched at $70 less than a year ago, and I see it for, I think the lowest I saw it was $10.
Well, Ubisoft, whatever happens to you next, I hope that it is a good situation for you.
I don't care.
For Ubisoft.
Oh, wow.
Is it
Kelly,
I've heard people say Ubisoft.
I say Ubisoft because Ubisoft sounds dumb.
Ubisoft. Oh. Let's get into the next
I
news
love
story.
that you made a big smile and then listened to your own self, and you looked so upset.
Let's get into the next exciting news story.
Yeah, so we talked a minute ago about how Star Wars Outlaws sold 1 million, and they were disappointed. Well, that was across the first month, and we have another game that sold 1 million copies. But guess what? When you have more tempered expectations and spend less than $2 billion making a game, 1 million on release day is incredible. And we can say that that is the case for Metaphor ReFantazio, the new game from Sega and Atlas. This game came out yesterday, time of recording, October 11th. It sold 1 million before it even launched in America. So that did include like digital pre-sales in America. But like, for example, I didn't buy my copy until Friday, partially because I thought it was on Game Pass, and then I found out on Friday it wasn't on Game Pass, so I had to frantically order it on Amazon. But we'll talk about that later. No, we won't. I'll admit it. I thought it was on Game Pass, and I think I probably said it on the show several times. So if there's anybody listening that was like, I thought it was on Game Pass, and I'm
you can
sorry.
blame Andrew. You can blame Andrew for that.
I have a friend, Ian, who was all excited for this game because I told him he didn't have to pay for it. And yesterday I had to text him and be like, hey, I'm real sorry, but I lied. Like, really.
Liar.
To be fair to me, it was so heavily marketed by Xbox. Like, Xbox paid for all of the marketing rights for some reason. I'm sure this game's going to sell better on PlayStation too. So, like, I don't understand. And I think also the fact that it got announced along with Persona 3 and Persona 5 Tactica that were both on Game Pass.
Yes. And that was their whole thing at the time. It was very exciting because the Persona games were all on Game Pass now. Yippee!
So announcing Metaphor alongside it and being like, it made sense why I thought it was on Game Pass.
Yes.
Because all of that Atlas stuff was coming to Game Pass.
Yeah, you just keep digging that hole deeper.
I'm an idiot. I know that. I admitted that.
I'm just joking.
I'm very excited to hear this game's doing well, though. It deserves it. It's exciting because earlier this year, Persona 3 Reload was the fastest Atlas game to hit 1 million copies, and it did so in like 2 weeks or something like that. This literally hit that in less than 1 full day. That makes me very optimistic that the future for Atlas is positive and that they're going to continue to let this team grow and expand.
I think they've also done a better job of marketing out here in the West a little bit better too.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy to me because like I think about Persona as like this huge, enormous staple. Persona 5, 3 months ago, maybe more, sold 10 million copies as a series. And I was shocked by that number. I thought it would be way higher. So that includes Persona 5, Persona 5 Royal, Persona 5 Tactica, Persona 5 Strikers. And all of the ports of all of those games hit 10 million total. And I was like, oh, I thought I would have assumed that Persona 5 Vanilla sold 10 just because of how prolific that series became. But nope, it's been way more niche than I realized. I think it has a big, huge cultural footprint, but maybe not so much in the sales way. But it sounds like, they're starting to go more and more in that direction. And this is a new IP. And I know it's the Persona team, and they haven't made a new game since Catherine, which is spooky. I should say a new IP. They've made Persona games. They've made plenty of Persona games. This is the first not Persona game that team has made since Catherine. And Catherine's the only other not Persona game that P Studios made. P Studios made exclusively Persona games. And Catherine. And now, Metaphor. But I'm excited, and I'll promise you now that I will have finished it before next episode, Kellie's
You can't just help. You can't help but lie.
No, that'd be like me announcing that I got laid off. That's what that would have to be, because it's 100 hours. There's no way I'm finishing it. But it did arrive in the mail today, and as soon as I finish another game that I'll talk about later, I'm hopping right into it, as well as the new release Silent Hill 2. So I'll be juggling those. But I'm excited for them.
Yeah, quite
good for Atlas.
Yeah, quite two different, very totally different games.
Drastically.
But you know what? Also, are games that are tonally different.
That was rough.
So the Until Dawn remake came out last week.
Who knew?
Well, it has sold worse than Concord. It has performed worse than Concord, which is not a great benchmark. We'll just say that. We'll just throw that out there now. Not really sure what they were thinking when they made this game, because I'm sure it cost money. I'm sure it took time, and it was kind of pointless. Until Dawn came out in like 2016, 2015. Looks good still. You can play it on your PlayStation 5. It's not the PlayStation 5 version, but it runs well. It looks good. This remake has done a lot of odd things. It has changed the lighting in some regards. It has changed the character models quite a bit. And it is still asking for, what, $70?
70. And there's
$70.
If it was a $10 upgrade, I'd be way more understanding. Like if you could just upgrade your PS4 copy for $10.
Yeah. So, it even changed the song in the opening, which I thought was really lame, because that song is so important to like the Dark Pictures anthology, which Until Dawn technically isn't a part of, but it was sort of the precursor to all of that. So I don't really know what's going on here. I don't really know why this happened, why they expected it to do well. I guess people really do like Until Dawn. It was sort of like the first of its kind, but you can play it and have fun with it with the old version, and it does not look bad. It looks fine. It looks good. There are like I feel like the lighting change and the character models are really the things that get to me the most.
I think for me it's the changing the camera angles.
Yeah.
That seems a little bit unnecessary.
Yeah.
You can buy the original for $8.
And you should buy the original because it's a great game. It's a lot of fun.
Even if you buy the original on like the PS Store, which is more expensive than buying a pre-owned copy, it's only $20.
Yeah. I don't know.
Don't do that.
Don't do it.
Well, PlayStation, while we were away, had a state of play. Oh, good rhyme.
Very nice.
Last time they had a state of play, it was grotesque and bad. And they spent 15 minutes of their 30 minutes on Concord. I expected that again. But that's not what happened. We actually had some real stuff. There's some games. So last time we did a speed round, but now we have some actual news for you. Shall we, Kelly?
Let us away.
If you're a fan of remasters of obscure old games rather than pertinent new games that don't need them, we got you covered with a couple packs. Lunar 1 and 2 and Legacy of Kain 1 and 2 are both getting released in remaster collections. Lunar, or is it Lunar? I feel like it might be Lunar.
Lunar? I mean, Lunar makes sense because it's lunar.
Anyway, Lunar 1 and 2 is a couple of PS1 RPGs that are getting remastered, and Legacy of Kain are a couple PS2 action-adventure games that are getting remastered. These are both, smaller games that definitely deserve some light of day. I'm excited for them. I'm glad they're coming back to the mainstream in some way. I think remasters like this are good. I think that you maybe should just put out the original as well. But giving us access to games that are no longer available it's an exciting way to do it. And I especially think the Lunar 1 and 2 remasters look quite nice. I think the Legacy of Kain one just kind of looks like a polished version of an old version, but old game, I mean. And Lunar 1 and 2 looks more like a cool 2D HD kind of approach to that series.
Yeah, I'm excited for the people who like these games and played these games. It's always nice to see, that they get to relive those moments.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I always think about like when they announced the Story of Seasons, A Wonderful Life remake. I was so happy because that was such a nostalgic game for me. And to be able to replay it was very much a treat. So I'm happy for them. You know what's on the horizon is a Horizon Zero Dawn remaster.
Wow, this is just as exciting as the other ones.
Uh-huh. And they're remastering it. And it's coming out this Halloween. So that will be the game that I will play on Halloween.
Yeah. You're no longer interested in Dragon Age because Horizon Zero Dawn's getting a remaster.
Exactly.
This is stupid.
Yeah, I don't really understand it.
I get that the NPC conversations are very stilted in the original, and re-recording the mocap is cool.
That's a lot of work.
But this is stupid. Yeah, this is, what that work could have been done to? Remastering a game that needs it, or just making something new.
Yeah. I don't really get it.
The only thing, the fact that it's a $10 upgrade for PS4 users makes me a little less angry. But it's still pretty dumb. And also, like, they advertise it. They're like, we're bringing this game up to the visual standard of Horizon Forbidden West. And I'm like, those are both PlayStation 4 games. Yeah. Those are both PlayStation 4 games. Yeah. What are you talking about? That'd be like if Uncharted 1 got remastered at the end of the PS3 generation. They're like, we are bringing this up to the standards of Uncharted 3. And I'm like, those are on the same console. It makes me mad. It's a waste of time.
It's nonsensical.
Remaster things that need it. They could probably use the same budget to remaster, like...
It should... They should remaster the Sly Cooper series.
Yeah, just something like that.
I would play that so hard.
Pump those out real quick. Easy.
I loved the third one.
Honor Among Thieves.
Yeah.
No. Wait.
Yeah, it was something like that, yeah.
I'm just trying to remember what the third one is.
Great games.
I think 2 is Honor Among Thieves and 3 is a different one.
Lost Legacy.
I don't get the joke.
I was just making a joke about Uncharted.
Yeah, but I don't...
And how the names reminded me of each other.
I don't think I get it. Dynasty Warriors is getting its new game Origins, which we heard about in that last PlayStation State of Play, I should say. And we got a January 17th release date, as well as a pretty extensive new trailer. I'm very excited for this. I think it looks a lot better than it did in that first trailer. There's a lot more to look at. January 17th is earlier than I expected because they just announced that it's a 2025. And January is very early 2025. So I'm excited to see this game. I'm not going to get it day one necessarily, but if it does review very well, I'll be playing it because I love Musou games. Most of my experience, though, is in series that are like I played Hyrule Warriors and I played Persona Strikers. So like I have more of experience playing it in series that I'm familiar with, and Fire Emblem. That's the other one. So playing just a good old-fashioned Dynasty Warriors game without any brand attached does kind of sound exciting to me. So I'm excited to see how this game turns out.
Yeah. I am not overly fond of Warriors games, Dynasty Warriors style games, because I struggle a little bit with just like the click, 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 But I'm excited for you, and it looks nice.
I'm gonna beat you up.
Okay, do it, please. End my suffering.
I'm too tired.
So next year is not a leap year, in case you were curious. February ends on February 28th.
Yeah.
Wait. Right.
Yes. Correct.
So, but you know what else happens on February 28th?
The release of Like a Dragon Yakuza Pirates in Hawaii.
Okay. But also the release of Monster Hunter Wilds. Yippee!
That's another one. They just said 2025. February is early.
Yeah. This is exciting. I have a hard time. So I'll play Monster Hunter. I'll get really into it for like 8-9 hours, and then I'll fall off. I really want to give this one a go. I really want to do my best.
And not drop it, you mean?
And not drop it. Because I like big monsters. I cannot lie. And I love the little palicos. Is that what they're called in Monster Hunter? Palicos?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. I wanted to make sure I wasn't saying the wrong thing from a different game.
You're smart.
Yeah, I will definitely be giving this one a shot because it looks really cool.
Yeah, I will see if I get into it because I've tried multiple times. I think this would be the 4th time I've tried. So it feels like it might. Every time they're like, this is the easiest it's ever been to get into. So maybe this one is the one I can get into. Who knows?
It's definitely, it feels really, you're right. It's like, it's not really easy. It feels like you're going into the game and they don't give you a ton of like knowledge, I guess. Like there's so much not backstory, but there's just so much meat to it. And it just feels like you're like, oh, I don't know.
It does appear that this one is like the most accessible. It has like that slow motion option during combat and stuff. So I might try to give it a shot. Mm-hmm. I have a feeling this could be like a huge game. This could be like absolutely earth-shattering size, but
yeah, I mean they're really building it up, so
yeah, I'm excited that it's February. That's really, really cool because I figured it was going to be kind of early, but I thought maybe like April. But February is right at the start.
Yeah.
Well, Kelly, the show ended with a big ol' announcement. Sequel to Ghost of Tsushima. Oh. Ghost of Yote. What?
I'm so excited. I loved Ghost of Tsushima.
Well, now, instead of exploring Tsushima, you get to explore Yote. Different region of Japan, hundreds of years later, different main character. You're still playing as a ghost, but now you're a lady. I think it looks exceptional. You know, this trailer kind of did just say, like, it didn't do a ton, so much as just, like, be like, look how good these environments look. And then at the end, there's, like, a flash of a bunch of new weapons and stuff. And then the big surprise for me, personally, is 2025.
Yeah.
While it was on, I was texting friend of the show, Cameron. I said, if this doesn't end with a 2025, I'm angry. and he was a realist. He was like, that's not going to happen. That doesn't seem likely. And then it happened, and I was like, that wasn't likely, and it wasn't realistic, but I got it. But they kind of need it, because what do they have next year? Nothing.
Just a bunch of, not even remasters.
Those aren't even theirs anyway. That's the thing, is like most of the cool stuff in the show wasn't theirs, you know?
Yeah.
And like they have Death Stranding 2, but that's not really theirs per se. That's just something they pay for.
Yeah.
So, but this is actually theirs. This is a PlayStation studio. I'm excited to see this game. I'm sure it'll be good because Sucker Punch knows how to make games. And really, how do you fumble this formula? Just kind of do the same thing, but new story. And hopefully the story's a little better because I feel like the story was not amazing in the first game. It was engaging, but not amazing.
It was forgettable.
Right. Like I can't tell you much aside from the fact that his name was Jin and he's a ghost.
He had an uncle.
See, I thought it was his grandpa.
What? Oh my God. Were you playing the game with your eyes closed?
No, it's just forgettable.
He's always like, my uncle. I have to get my uncle.
Do you think they're gonna actually have a sub in this one?
A sub?
Oh wait, they had a Japanese version in the original, but
I was gonna say, what do you mean by that?
Well, because the first game was recorded in English, so all of the lips were synced to the English version, and then the Japanese version wasn't synced up. So it looked kind of silly.
I absolutely adored Ghost of Tsushima just because it felt so cinematic to me, but it didn't feel forced. Like from the opening scene where you're like running through those fields with all the others, like soldiers, and you're like storming the beach.
Yeah.
Hello? You're storming the beach. Oh my God. It was just incredible. And like when you're running through the pampas grass fields and the breeze is going by and then you like the opening credits start to roll. It's like, oh my God. Like thinking about it gives me the chilly willies because it was so good. So I'm really looking forward to this. I hope, and I'm sure it will, still capture that sort of like cinematic experience from the first game. Because like you said, I mean, I feel like when I played the game, I liked it so much because of that. Like we said, the story wasn't necessarily what I was there for. But, you know, I loved Jin. I thought he was a great main character. I would love for this story to sort of expand on that, like, am I a good person kind of theme that the first game had going, where it was like my honor, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I'll be interested in that. And it's exciting that it's a female character. I will say that much. I'm excited about that because I feel like, you know, I'm a woman, for those who don't know.
I think there's a lot to be excited about. It's just sort of one of those things I'm probably not going to think about much until it's here.
Sure, yeah.
Because what do I think? I kind of know what I'm getting, right?
Yeah.
What is there to think about?
Yeah.
But that's not a bad thing. I kind of do just want more of the same with this.
Yeah.
And it didn't take quite as long as I'd expect. Like a 5-year turnaround is not bad for a game like this.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like it was a pleasant surprise.
Compared to Naughty Dog, they're doing quite well. Although I guess I shouldn't say that. We technically don't know what Naughty Dog is doing.
Oh, God.
They could technically have something next year. Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm not putting money on it.
It'll probably be The Last of Us Part 2, remade, remastered.
Again.
Remixed. More Abby edition.
We're literally getting The Last of Us Part 2 remastered next year, but it's with Pedro Pascal.
Did you see the trailer for that?
Yeah. I don't care, though. Sorry.
Okay. No, it's cool. I just like... I mean,
I'm going to watch it, and we'll probably review
it on the show, but, you know...
we'll review...
It's cool.
I guess we could... I didn't think about that.
No, it's okay. We don't have to talk about it. The trailer didn't really give much away, other than...
It's part 2.
Yeah, you know, it's the conflict that was introduced at the end of part 1.
And Catherine O'Hara, her character, I'm not clear on who that is, which could be interesting. Like a character that forces Joel to introspect could be interesting.
Yes, and we got our first little peek of Caitlin Dever. Is it Dever or Dever? Do you know?
I don't know.
As Abby, which still is kind of like I feel like. I don't know. We can talk about it more when the show comes out, but like the aging down of the main cast is kind of like jarring to me.
That was the only thing about that trailer that really threw me, is that everybody looks so baby.
Like Dina looks like she's so young. And
the only guy that looks old is Jesse.
Yeah, and he looks too old. Anyway,
I think it'll be good. I'm like pretty sure it'll be good, but watching the trailer, the thing that I'll say, the reason I didn't have a lot to say is because watching the trailer, I was like, yeah, I know. Like, I did this. I think part 2 is an incredible story. It's maybe one of my favorite video game stories. It is one of my favorite video game stories ever told. I don't care. It's great for TV audiences that they get to see this, but I'm not that. You know, I've experienced this already.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think they're probably going to add more Joel stuff.
Sure.
Let's just say that Joel took a back seat in part 2. Let's just say that. And
sure, yeah.
It looks like they're probably going to give him more to do.
Right.
I don't know how that'll work.
They're trying to make that Pedro Pascal budget really stretch.
Yeah. I don't know how that'll work. Also, if it starts differently than part 2, it's going to be really hard to talk about it on this show. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like,
yes.
If the beginning is not the same as the game, because we inherently talk about how it compares to the game. If the beginning is different, it's going to be so hard to talk about it on this show without just like spoiling everything. So we might have to have like 2-part reviews of every episode where one half is spoiler free and the other half is spoilery.
Yeah.
So, but that'll be next year as well.
Yeah.
Kelly, did you play any games this week?
Listen.
I'm listening.
Baldur's Gate Patch 7 came out for PC, which it came out a few weeks ago, which introduced the mod manager, the built-in mod manager. So all my old playthroughs got ruined.
No.
I was using third-party mods, so I had to restart a new playthrough using the mods that I could get in mod manager. So I've been playing Baldur's Gate 3 again. I'm almost 40 hours into this playthrough.
Whoa.
And I've also been playing Inquisition to prep for Veilguard, which comes out in like 3 weeks.
Yeah. 2 episodes.
2 episodes. 2 episodes. 2 episodes. I actually have a countdown on my phone. 19 days. Well, 18 days from when you're listening.
This is coming out on Saturday. It's 19
It's still
days.
18 days.
Really?
Yeah, because it's 12 p.m. So
On Thursday? Wait, no, it comes out on Thursday. Does
it
it
comes
come
out
out at 12
Thursday
p.m.
on
Wednesday?
12 p.m. No, 12 p.m. Thursday.
So it's 18 days from right now?
Yes.
Okay. I
Right.
don't know math.
I don't know math. Maybe I'm wrong. Let me see.
I just feel like if you add 12 plus 18, you get 30.
Right?
And
But-
it comes out on the 31st.
Right. Okay. Please hold for the math.
So it's 13 or 19 days from right now.
19 days. No, 18 days, 19 hours, 54 minutes, and 5 seconds.
Yeah, it's 19 days.
Okay. It's okay.
If you include the hours, I include those hours.
But all right. You're right.
It doesn't matter. It's out in 3 weeks. Just say if we just say 3 weeks, it's easy because it's 3 weeks.
I just want to let everybody know the seriousness of this situation. Okay.
Oh.
Just one last time before we talk about the games that you played this week. That's 10 years of my life, and now it's 19 days.
Mm-hmm.
These are the longest days of my life, including the days that we're counting down to my wedding. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, gosh.
But yeah, very excited. I can't even begin. I'm of the mind where at this point, even if the game is bad, unless it's like egregiously bad, I will probably still like it.
I don't think it'll be egregiously bad.
Right.
I think the worst case scenario is a little disappointing at this point because so many people have played it
Right.
and said it's good.
Right.
So the worst case scenario is just that maybe the story doesn't come to fruition in a good way.
Right.
But I don't think that's likely. I think it's going to be good.
Yeah. Time will tell. 3 weeks, 19 days.
3 weeks, 2 episodes. It's okay, Kelly. Deep breath.
What did you play this week, Andrew? Or these past weeks?
Yeah, I was going to say it's been a while, so I played a frick ton.
Whoa.
Excuse my
You
language.
can't be saying stuff like that.
I'll check that explicit tag for this episode now.
Thank you.
Persona 3 Reload got its Episode Aigis expansion. That is $35 US unless you are lucky enough to have Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, that's how I played it. That was a really good sentence I just did. That was great. I played it with Game Pass, and I'm glad about that because I was very disappointed in this expansion. I know I talked about it a little bit last episode that I was like, I don't know if I'm going to like this. I can confirm I didn't like it. It was fine, but the loop is so incredibly repetitive in this DLC because there's so little story. So it's literally like 80 to 90% just dungeon crawling, and the dungeons are filled with enemies that are reused from the base game, just harder, and the dungeon designs are not interesting. There's really nothing interesting. The last like hour and a half has some interesting story information, but if you have interest, if you play Persona 3 or Persona 3 Reload and you want to know how it ends, like the true ending or whatever, just look this up and watch the story part, and it'll take you 40 minutes. I spent like 13 hours on this DLC. I set it to the peaceful mode, which is very easy, and I ran through it because I didn't want to play it anymore.
Yeah.
So I started on normal mode, and then I pivoted to the easy mode and just ran through it as quickly as I could because I was not enjoying it, and I wanted to experience it in its entirety, but I didn't want to play it anymore. And it still took 13 hours, and I was just listening to YouTube videos while I was plowing through it as quickly as I could. It's not worth playing. I can't even describe how not worth $35 it is. Do not pay for this. Do not pay $35 for this. Do not is my recommendation. It's a waste of $35. That is enough to buy a lot of video games. A lot of games are available for $35 or less. This is not one of them that you should be playing. I don't recommend it. It is way worse than Persona 3 Reload. Persona 3, like the whole thing is like the gameplay loop of Persona is so satisfying because it's like, oh, dungeon crawling, oh, talking to friends, oh, like upping your equipment, oh, like trying to do social stuff, like all that stuff, story. This is just gameplay, bit of story, gameplay, bit of story, gameplay, and it's like that's not an interesting loop. It's not. The gameplay, I liked Persona 3 Reload a lot. I think Kelly and I are on the same page with that it's a great game. The gameplay is not good enough for that. Also, I just came off of the heels of SMT5, which is the best combat in an Atlas game, in my opinion. Like, I love Persona, but SMT5 is better at combat. But that's because that's what the game is, you know? And it's focused on combat, and there's not that much story, but it's so good, and the gameplay loop is so satisfying. This is not that. This is unsatisfying, it's repetitive, it's boring. So this is like one of the biggest disappointments of this year for me, because I had no idea. I didn't know this is what this was. I didn't know it was just like a repetitive loop. Kind of wish I knew that going in, because it was not fun to learn that. And I'm glad I played it on PS5 and not on the PS2 version, because that probably would have been agonizing as an adult. I don't know if I could. Maybe as a kid I could have had the patience, but as an adult,
nah.
So yeah, that's my suggestion. Don't play it, and just watch it, and you'll get the same exact experience. It was like the story stuff was cool. It was just like there was only a tiny bit at the very end, so it really wasn't worth my time. But I did play some games that were worth my time, so it's going to be some positive now. If you have $35 and you want to spend it on a video game, don't do it on Persona 3. Do it on The Plucky Squire, new indie game from Devolver Digital. This is we've been talking about this for a couple years. It got announced at E3 in like 2022, I believe. This is a game where you play as a little storybook character named the Plucky Squire. He's this little pink dude with a sword, runs around solving people's problems. And then one day, big bad of the book knocks him out of the book. Boom, you're playing a 3D platformer now instead of a top-down Zelda-like game. Through the rest of the game, you're hopping in and out of the storybook, switching between top-down 2D stuff, sometimes some side-scrolling 2D stuff, and this 3D exploration. You're on a kid's desk, and you're exploring, trying to find stuff to make it so you can get through this book and resolve things, because the big bad is bringing in things from the outside world to ruin your storybook. This game was not perfect. There were some weird problems. I think that the opening is bad. The first hour or so is really slow, and I started to be like, I don't know if this game's for me, because they take a really long time to introduce the whole hopping in and out of 3D aspect. But that's why I wanted to play this game. And it's kind of boring. We can only do 2D. So once they knock you out of the book, it becomes a lot more interesting. So if you're at all interested in this game, power through that first hour. It definitely gets a lot better after that. There were also a lot of bugs. Rarely game hurting. There was one where it was a side-scrolling shooter section, like a mini game, and my shoot button didn't work. So that was, I guess that is game breaking, because I couldn't play it, so I had to skip the minigame, because there's a skip minigame option, which is cool for accessibility, but it did mean I didn't get to experience that minigame, which was disappointing, because I was like, oh, that seemed fun. And it worked. There was a flash of that later in the game, and it worked. So I was like, okay, so it was just a glitch that happened here. And there's just a lot of other little graphical glitches and weird little gameplay problems that would pop up here and there. It never made me hate the game, but it was distracting for sure. And it's not the most innovative game in the world. The gameplay ideas are really cool, and the integration between the 2D and 3D stuff, going out into the world, finding what you need, going back into the 3D world. It's really cool. It's just quite simple, but I think this game has such an inspired vision and such an inspired idea behind everything it's doing that it does keep you going. So if you think that the aesthetic is at all interesting, and you think the idea of hopping in and out of the 3D and 2D world is cool, you'll probably enjoy this one. It was a very fun experience. It only took me 8 hours to finish, 7 hours to finish or so. So I got through it really quickly. There's not really a lot of side content. There's a little bit, you can get these, there's these hidden art scrolls that you can find throughout the world. So you could technically go back and find those, but it's mostly just a linear experience for you. I definitely think that this team could make a really amazing sequel. That doesn't mean I didn't like the first one. It was just there's just definitely some more that they could do to iron it out. If you have PlayStation Plus Extra or Premium, it is included on there on day one it was released on there. I do think it is definitely worth playing if you have that service because you don't have to pay for it. And it's a really cool addition to the service. I think like I said, the inspired vision is what kept me going. There really was a lot of heart in this game.
Nice.
I had to take a water break because I talked so much.
That's okay.
I got double vaxxed yesterday. I got COVID and flu, so my body's like...
Yeah, you're fighting a war in there.
I'm mildly shutting down. I described it to Kelly as it felt like I went through a car wash without a car. So, Plucky Squire, excellent game. I'm glad it was short. It allowed me to get through it pretty quickly. I think if it was much longer, probably would have felt like it was overstaying its welcome. But the other game I've been playing this week is a big new release. Legend of Zelda, Echoes of Wisdom. That's right, folks. I'm playing a new Zelda game. This is a top-down Zelda game where you play as Zelda for the first time in a main series Nintendo game. It is visually very similar to the Link's Awakening remake. It's made by that same team, Grezzo, which is really cool that they let a team that's not inside Nintendo take care of this. Obviously, Grezzo and Nintendo go hand in hand, but Grezzo is its own studio. And it's really cool that another studio was able to get their hands on Zelda. They didn't do as perfect a job as Nintendo traditionally does, but I do think this game is a lot of fun. The core mechanic is that you have this little tri-rod, as it's called, and you can summon echoes, which are echoes of things that you've experienced in the real world. So you can summon the echo of a table so that you can hop onto it and get up to a higher place. You can summon... oh, wow, it sounded like I said suck on. You can summon the echoes of a monster that you've killed in the past to fight other monsters. You can summon a bed and take a nap.
Sleepy.
There
Sleepy
are
Zelda.
many, many, many echoes. Probably hundreds. At least 100 for sure. There's a lot of echoes in this game. And they all have unique properties. They all can do unique things. This is a very puzzle-heavy game. And it's kind of similar to something like Tears of the Kingdom, where you can combine these echoes in really interesting ways to solve a puzzle however you feel like. I think that comes with the same downsides as Tears of the Kingdom, where sometimes it feels like you discover a solution that kind of works for a whole lot of problems, and then you just keep doing that. Like, for example, I got this little cloud echo, and I can hop on it, and it goes away after a second, so it's not a very permanent platform, but I can just summon another one in front of it, and then hop on that, and then summon another one, and hop on that, and summon another one, and sometimes I can skip, like, entire little platforming sections they intend for me by making, like, a cloud bridge. And that can be disappointing at times, that it's not as, because, like, as old Zelda games, old Zelda dungeons have, like, one puzzle solution, and that can feel restrictive, I guess, but sometimes that is satisfying to figure out the solution to a puzzle. Whereas this, it feels like I've kind of like have my small toolkit of puzzle solutions that I have that work for most puzzles. So I don't think this game will, I don't think it'll like impress you incredibly. However, if you are at all interested in a nice new 2D Zelda, it is fun as heck. It is super satisfying to just go through it and just tear this world apart. The visuals are absolutely gorgeous. I love this toy box style. I think they did an exceptional job. I'm blown away at how much better it looks than the Link's Awakening remake. There's a lot of new polish and a lot of new flair on this that I really didn't expect. Do take note, the frame rate in this game is bad. Like, bad. It is sometimes 60 and sometimes it's like 25. It is drastically inconsistent. So part of me kind of wishes they just locked it at 30 so this wouldn't be happening so much, because it is all over the place. I'm able to overlook that just because I'm having a good enough time, but it is going to be a problem for some people, and I can't deny that. But the visual design is really inspired and really nice. The story is really cute. The whole concept of this game is that there's rifts forming around the world that are sucking in parts of Hyrule, and you and your little buddy Tri, who's this little gold man, he's a tiny little ball guy, he's so cute. He helps you hop into these rifts, and you can use him and all his little friends to resolve these rifts and save people who've been sucked into them and their life force is starting to drain. So you can save those people and bring back their little villages and stuff. And this game also has, even though the puzzle solutions are kind of open-ended, the dungeons are actually pretty traditional. And I think that's cool because we haven't had traditional Zelda dungeons in a new Zelda game in a while. I mean, Breath of the Wild came out in 2017, and that kind of got rid of the traditional dungeons. So as far as a new Zelda game having that, this is the first in a long time. And I think it's really cool. There's a lot of cool callbacks to other Zelda games, but also you don't have to have that experience to enjoy this. I think if you like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, you're going to like this probably. If you like Link's Awakening, as long as you're okay with those open-ended mechanics, you're probably going to like this one. There's a lot to like. I am in the final hours. I am inside the penultimate dungeon right now. So I have, once I finish this dungeon, I have one more after that and I'll be done. I plowed it through it pretty quickly because I wanted to have it done before Metaphor, but that didn't work out. Life's busy. But I really have been enjoying it. I think it's an exceptional game. I think it's really cool. It is nothing insane. Like I'd probably give it like I know I don't do number ratings on here, but like a solid 8 out of 10, which might sound a little low, but it's the kind of 8 out of 10 where you just go through it having a great time. And it's like you shut your brain off just the right amount because you have to focus on like puzzle solutions and stuff, but you never have to like strain, And I think it's just a very comforting game. I think that's my biggest thing is it's comforting, and it's also fun to explore because like the open world is pretty big, and it's like it's top down. It's not crazy expressive the same way that Breath of the Wild is, but it is cool to explore this world and like uncover parts of the map. Especially because like when you get echoes, you can kind of break the map a little bit and explore areas a little earlier than you maybe would expect to. And the game is ready for that. You're never going to enter an area and be like completely ruined or something. But I think that it really allows for a lot of expressive gameplay and in a way that's just kind of fun. It's not as brain breaking as Tears of the Kingdom was. Like making stuff in Tears of the Kingdom was like sometimes you'd feel the cogs in your brain grinding while they try to figure stuff out. That will not happen here. It's pretty straightforward. But yeah, I had a lovely time playing it, and I'm looking forward to bringing it to fruition later today, actually. When you're listening to this, I'll probably already be done. And then I'll be moving on to Metaphor.
Yippee!
Moving on to Metaphor, and then Silent Hill 2.
Yippee!
Busy week of gaming.
Busy week.
I have to make an admission to the audience and to you, Kelly.
Oh.
So you know how the past 2 years, 2022 and 3, I finished 51 games.
Uh-huh.
That's not going to happen in 2024.
Oh.
And
okay.
I hope you can forgive me.
I can't, but maybe the audience can.
I'm currently at 38 games.
Wow.
My pace would need to be 1 game a week. And I am starting Metaphor tonight, which is a 100-hour game.
Yeah, that's
so
okay.
I don't think that's going to happen.
I'm sure if you broke it down, you could determine like, okay, 2022 had this many games, 2023 had this many games, 2024 has this many games, versus what you were doing in life versus et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So maybe it's all equivalent anyway.
Hours played or whatever. Like it might be it might be similar, but also like my life has been chaotic this year. So my game playing has had a lot of ebbs and flows, and there's been a lot more ebbs than there has been flows, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So 38 is still doing pretty good. I
played like 5, so
38 is also finished for clarity. Because like Metaphor, I don't know if I'll finish that this year, because if it's 80 or 90 hours or whatever, then I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It depends, because I'll also be trying to play new games as well. Like Silent Hill 2, I'll finish this year for sure.
Yeah.
And like, I might go back to, if Metal Gear Solid 3 still comes out this year, the remake, I might go back to 2 before that happens, but it's October. I don't know if that's coming out this year. I don't have a lot of, I feel like they need to announce that like tomorrow if they do.
Yeah, for sure.
So, no Switch 2 yet, Kelly.
Not yet. We hold our breaths until it comes out.
I don't know when. I'm like truly in the dark on when it's going to get announced.
I'm actually very shocked you didn't make a joke just now about me saying that we'll hold our breaths till it comes out. I thought you were going to be like, well, we're probably going to suffocate and die.
Oh.
It's okay. I made the joke for you.
It's okay. I thought like you meant like a pun, and I was like, I don't get the pun.
No,
just that if we hold our breath till the Switch 2 gets announced, we'll probably die. That's
my
funny.
brain's kind of fried right now.
It might get announced this week.
Sure.
We'll be back in like a week and a half, so maybe that'd actually be perfect if it got announced before Dragon Age came out, so we could really dive into it before our Election Day special. You know what they say, October surprise.
Exactly.
The big October surprise is going to be Switch 2 announcement. That's going to sway that election like nobody's ever seen before.
What are the candidates going to do about the Switch 2?
We're going to have to change candidates. We're going to have to find 2 new candidates because the Switch 2 is going to shake things up so much.
Yeah, honestly.
The current, which is crazy because people have already voted, so like it's going to be really complicated.
I know. Oof, good luck. Hey, thanks everybody so much for listening, and thanks for your patience while we had our little break. Sorry about that, by the way. But we'll be back soon with more news. Maybe Switch 2. Who knows? I hope you have a great day. I hope you have a great week. I hope you have a great month. And I hope you have a great year. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.